I'm Chandra Luckett, Director of Marketing and Communications here at Chris 180, and welcome to week 11 of our Lunchtime Live series. Throughout the past 2 months, we've brought to you resources and topics that we'd love to share during this time of uncertainty in our world. Today, we're going to be discussing engaging and connecting with the teens and young adults in your lives. Can you imagine going through this pandemic with the uncertainty around us and you not knowing whether you'll go back to school in the fall or what your life will look like after this time? Well, today we have two experts who are here with their opinions and tips on how to move forward and help those teens and young adults in your lives. Today we're joined by Traci Willis, the director of our JourneyZ Youth and Foster Care Program, and Spencer Mack, who is a life coach in our TransitionZ program for young adults. The two of them will share best practices and resources to help you and your families during this time. As always, please leave your questions in the comment section below and we'll answer them live during this conversation. Traci and Spencer.
Hi there, my name is Traci Willis. I am the director of JourneyZ, which is our group homes here at Chris 180. We have 8 homes set out in the area, and each home has 6 youth in every home. We service youth that are ages 12 to about 17 and a half. We try to make it as normal as possible. Those kids are in foster care, and we try to make everything as normal as possible. We have a daily routine, especially with things that are going on now. The usual routine of getting up, having breakfast, and going to school, coming home from school and doing chores and free time has changed. A lot of those things have changed. Those changes, they're doing school on the internet now, which is over now, last week. They are doing things, now it's more activities. Yeah. So part of JourneyZ, our group homes, we service the youth, and today we'll start talking about how we've kept them engaged and things going and trying to keep it as normal as possible.
Yeah, good stuff. My name is Spencer Mack. I am a life coach at TransitionZ. We are permanent supportive housing. Right now, I would say we have about 40 plus young adults that we have on our campus at this moment. It's interesting because the ages are 18 to 24. And it looks different because there's a lot that can happen between that space, between 18 and 24. So we have some that have been focusing on school and having to do schoolwork online now. Then we have others who are employed and they were either laid off or furloughed, and working with them, explaining to them exactly what that looks like, what it looks like to be furloughed, and understanding the difference between being fired and being furloughed, and understanding what that process and that journey looks like. We have a setup in all of the buildings where they're able to use hand sanitizer, and educating them on that, the importance of wearing masks. Because at a certain age, they're listening to you like, I hear you saying we shouldn't go outside, but I'm 23 years old. So it's that journey of just educating them on what it looks like if you do decide to step outside of the home, how you should keep your apartment, and engaging with your friends who, have had their background checks done and want to come to see you, and informing them of the importance of staying where they need to stay. And, of course, we'll get into the conversation later of what that looks like when you want to engage with your friends online and letting them know that maybe meeting in person may not be the best thing right now.
So let's touch on that for a moment. Keeping them engaged when we're telling them, hey, this is what you do, hey, education about it, and they really don't want to hear that.
Right.
So, because let's be realistic, we're dealing with teenagers and young adults.
Yes.
They don't want to hear that. So some of the ways we are keeping them engaged through education. Mm-hmm. We are keeping our kids engaged with education in regards of making sure they know what the coronavirus is and what COVID-19 is. Yeah. Explaining exactly what that is, holding groups, talking about what the virus is, that it is a virus.
Absolutely.
And making sure they're educated. We are following the CDC guidelines, so a lot of times we just go in and Google, go to CDC guidelines, we print it off, we have it out for them, they can read it, they discuss, they talk about it in a group, they share their feelings, they get it out. So we're making sure that we're keeping them educated.
Yeah.
A big part of that also was making sure they knew about washing hands and staying clean.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That was a huge part that the CDC put out. So we even had groups where we were actually having them, hey, let's wash hands.
Right.
What's your favorite song? Do you want to sing the ABC song? Do you want to do a birthday song? Of course, we deal with kids that are listening to hip hop music and different things.
Yeah.
So it was really, really funny sometimes to hear them and see them saying what songs they want to sing, but they were all engaged.
Yes.
They were all like, okay, making sure, Miss Tracy, is it soap? Is it hand sanitizer? What are we doing? Let's do soap this time. We can talk about hand sanitizer as well. But it's really just teaching them about staying safe.
Yes.
What the guidelines were, 6 feet apart. That's another part they did not want to hear. We're all in the same home. What do you mean? We gotta stay 6 feet apart.
That might be the hardest one for a lot of people.
I think so.
Yeah.
So trying to make sure they understood
Yeah.
the guidelines, making sure they were educated on what a virus is, what corona is, the difference in the flu and the coronavirus, or the different strains of flu and the coronavirus. Different things like that, making sure they were educated on things.
Yeah.
How were you all able to do some things?
Well, the CDC website definitely played a big part for us. That's how we started. We started initially by educating them via the CDC website.
Okay.
So that was the first step. Then, of course, began a conversation. For me personally, with a lot of the kids on my caseload, I know that apps are something that we're all very into. There's an app for everything.
Everything.
So I'm big on receiving news via, reputable sources. So I'm like, okay, I understand that the shade room is a big thing for you. However, let's talk about websites like maybe NBC News or CNN or something of that nature, where not only are you able to get, let's hope, the facts, but also getting constant updates. And what do constant updates look like? Because in the world we're living in right now, things are ever changing. So if you put this app on your phone and click that you want to receive constant notifications, then whenever something new takes place, like 11 Alive, for those of us who are here in Atlanta, I have that app. So when anything happens as far as COVID-19 or, just regular day-to-day news, I tell them, so you know what's going on in the world. Not just with what we're talking about right now, but day-to-day of what's happening in your city. It's important for you to stay engaged in that way. So they're educated as far as that, We have care packages that we provided them with that has, hand sanitizer, hair brushes, all of those kind of things for day-to-day, toothbrush, toothpaste, things that they need, letting them know, that these are all things that you can use on a day-to-day basis. Let's have a conversation as far as social distancing and understanding that there are lots of people who are on campus. There may be people who you may walk by and things of that nature. Let's talk about how this is good. This is good where we are right now, and also understanding that mistakes are okay. Yeah. This is a new world for us. And with this being a new world, there may be a situation where there's somebody who you're really close to. You make that one-time mistake of hugging them. You're human, so it's going to happen. But the important thing is to know that moving forward, tell that person, I know you want to hug me, I want to hug you too, but we got to kind of hold off on that for a little bit, We're big on virtual hugs right now.
Something big my kids were teaching me were, so if we got to stay 6 feet apart, can we do a foot shake? So realistically, coming up with different things that you can still do is still saying, hey, how are you? Yeah. And it's simple things for kids that simple foot shake, but it was something they were like, we got to still be able to do something. So
yeah. And get imaginative. I think that's one of the cool things right now is that it's forcing us in a way to use our imaginations, and we've seen some really cool things come out of something that's so horrible. Yeah. So I think that's pretty awesome that we've had to, kind of figure out new ways that we go about living day-to-day life. And it helps, and that's a big thing for our youth, is helping them to stay engaged by thinking of new and fun things that we can do, So you're used to your normal, but now that we have this new normal, here are some fun things that we can do,
Yeah. Other ways I've kept them engaged, other than talks, making sure that they are checking the internet too sometimes. A lot of times they have questions. It's like, go to the CDC website and look it up. Yeah. Putting it on them and empowering them to do things as well. Yeah. That's been really, really good too. I think we have to make sure that our kids are understanding what's going on, but also pushing them. You can look it up.
Absolutely.
You know how to use the computer. You've been doing this at school.
Yes.
In your downtime, let's find some other things for you to do.
Yes. So those of you out there in the cyber world, looks like you have some questions for us.
Yes, we've got one, and it says, my college student has been home for months since their campus shut down, and our lives are pretty different now. I've asked her to stay indoors and to not go out with friends, but she's insisting, and I'm worried she's going to bring something back in. How do I stress the importance of keeping the family safe?
Okay, so there are several different directions we can go with that.
It is.
One could be social media, and we have a boom now that's going on when it comes to using places like Zoom and things of that nature. So you can stay engaged with your friends while you're online without having to actually be in front of them. So it's a two-way situation. So it's like, okay, I could choose to educate my young adult about staying in the house and show them things like Zoom that they can use, or you can use FaceTime for those who have iPhones, or you can use WhatsApp, you can use Facebook Messenger, you can use IG, like a lot of social media sites give you opportunities to be able to talk on the phone with each other. You can have group chats on all of these places as well, So that's if you decide that you're going to have the child stay in the home. However, you can also have conversations about what it looks like to practice social distancing outside. And so you can have places where you all meet up that aren't going to be teeming with lots of people. So let's say that you all know there's a particular small park where you all can meet up, and let's say there's 5 or 6 of you. You can meet, and once educated by your parent, or caregiver, they can educate you on what it looks like to stay in a space where you can stay separated, but at least be in each other's physical presence. You don't have to touch each other in order to stay, because you're an 18-year-old, you really want to get out the house, I'm going to start driving you crazy soon if you don't let me go. So if you are a parent that trusts your child and believe that the education you've provided them with can show them what true social distancing looks like, trust them to go outside. And even if you want, listen, I'm a chaperone y'all a little bit. I'm going to be here just for a little while to show you all what it looks like and to make sure that no one's overstepping what they should do. Okay. Gonna give you your space now, gonna go and leave, but just stay right there. Right. Stay in that little circle that y'all created. And y'all can have y'all conversation,
I think a part of it too is asking questions.
Absolutely.
We have to be realistic. A college student is listening, they're making responsible decisions, and they are probably about to start having some cabin fever. And they're not gonna stay inside. Some of them are not. So we have to be realistic about that. Ask questions.
Yeah.
Where are you going? Who will you be with? What are the guidelines that you plan on following?
Yeah.
CDC guidelines, we've talked about them. You already know them. What will you do while you're out and about?
Right.
Are you going to stores? Are you all going to a park? Are you all going to an empty car lot? Where are you going and what will you be doing? Ask those questions so you as a parent will feel more comfortable with what's going on. You will know what your child is doing.
Yeah.
And hopefully they will make the better decisions of, I'm going out, but I'm gonna do my social distancing. I'm gonna wear my mask if I need to. I'm gonna wear gloves if I need to. I'm gonna make sure I'm switching out gloves if I need to. I'm gonna practice all the things I'm supposed to do. But we gotta be realistic. College students are going to get a little bit of cabin fever, even if it's going outside and walking in the neighborhood. Ask them questions.
That's another important conversation to have as well. You had mentioned gloves and trading out gloves, and getting new ones. It's an important conversation to have with your teenager if they're driving about how those gloves that you've been using while you've been out in the world don't need to come into your car and touch your steering wheel. Let's have a conversation about when it's time for you to get in that car and drive away, you take those off, put them in the trash can, get into your car. Now when it's time to get outside of your car and interact with more people, put some new gloves on.
Right.
Please remember that what's on the other side of those gloves,
That's a good one. That's a real good one.
Absolutely.
Please make sure you're sending in questions and comments. We want to know your questions.
Definitely.
We want to answer.
Yeah. So we want to talk about engagement and coping skills.
Okay.
And because here's the thing. There's a breakdown, as I was talking about earlier, these two options, you have to stay in the house or to not stay in the house. Some ideas of what we can do if you choose to do either or. So I am a yoga instructor.
Okay.
I educate people on meditation, yoga, things of that nature. So with a lot of the young adults on our campus, I talk to them about what mindfulness looks like, wellness and healing, and what you can do right now. Not only that, with some of my friends, I talk to them about how we can take advantage of the fact that we're kind of stuck in our homes right now. And me, I'm a huge proponent of getting to know myself and what that looks like, and kind of educating those who are younger on what that looks like so you can work on it now. So by the time you hit like 25, 30, you have a better understanding of who you are. Because if we're being honest, that's one of the biggest issues that all of us have, is the getting to know oneself. So wellness plays a big part in that. So yoga, and I've taught in foster homes and everything, and when people first hear about yoga, they're like, yoga? What? I'm not interested in that, But when they see how it helps you physically, mentally, spiritually, it begins to change things around, So for a lot of the young brothers and sisters, once they see how it helps with your physique, it gets them more into it, And for as far as the meditation piece, how it can help with your breathing and how it can center you, Because a lot of us out here, especially with the idea of getting out to the community, when we think of how anger shows up, and I'm mad because I can't leave out the house. Well, let's have a conversation about that coping skill with breathing and the of it all, and how that can just center you right there in that moment. I'm mad because my mom and dad won't let me leave out of the house. I want to leave right now. Let me leave. I'm about to start getting furious. Okay, listen. Just chill for a minute. Breathe with me. Take that opportunity, that inhale and that exhale, and let's have a conversation. If you begin to get a little more fired up while I'm talking to you and letting you know what me as a parent or me as a caregiver, what I want from you, and let's just talk, And for those parents out there are opportunities, someone like me, YouTube, online, to be able to help you with understanding what it is when it comes to yoga practice. Because you could be watching us right now, and you could be saying, Traci, Spencer, I don't know how to do yoga, so how can I talk to my kid about doing it? YouTube is a thing, and it can teach you. But you also have those of us, information can be provided for you to reach out to those of us who are talking to you right now, and we can educate you as well. So there are opportunities out there, We also have, to switch it a little bit, gaming. Gaming is something, for all ages. And you can definitely take advantage of that, because there are some people who are like, it'll corrupt your mind and all that stuff. But there are a lot of positives to gaming as well. And it's something that keeps somebody active and out of trouble too, And it also provides an opportunity in the world that we're living in where you don't have to game alone. You can game online too. So that is an opportunity for your friends who you may not be able to see in person. You can do this online. And that is one of the rare times where you won't have your child get irritated and yell at you. Because, so we can talk to each other, because you can, talk to each other too. So you can do all that online, and people love to game. So true, I can't come over there and game with you right now, but I kind of like it better being able to stay in my room and game anyway. I don't care about how I'm going to get to your house, none of that. So it's all good. And one more thing is that you can journal. And journaling looks different now because, for certain ages, we're used to writing in a book or something of that nature. People may not want to do that. Young adults may be like, I don't really have the time to get a pen, paper, start writing in some book. What you want me to do? You can do it on your phone. For most of us, we have notes in our cell phones. Go to your notes section, and you can just talk about how you feel. You don't have to call it journaling. Get out your feelings. Get out my emotions. I'm frustrated right now, mad about the world. I want to talk to an adult. Talk to your phone. Write out what you need to write out. Go back and look at it when you need to. Get your inhales and your exhales in,
I've told my kids, text it to yourself.
Listen, there
That's
we
a
go.
good one. We have another question.
Yeah.
We actually have several questions from Instagram, so each one of you kind of take turns on these so we can get them all in. The first one is from Jane. She says, how do you deal with teens who don't seem interested in engaging with you? I try, but they just keep looking at their phones.
What are they interested in? A part of this is you learning that person out.
Yeah.
You all are all indoors. It's sometimes for some families it's minimal things to do.
Mm-hmm.
So learn what that child likes and try to incorporate yourself into things that they like. Whatever they're doing, whatever they're liking, let's try to see if we can engage ourselves into what they're doing and incorporate ourselves.
And connecting to that, text them. So if they're going to be in their phone all the time, I could be right there along with you. So you're not paying attention to me. Let's come into your world really quick. I'm going to come into your world and I'm texting with you now. And you could be saying to yourself, well, I'm your parent, so I don't want to feel like I should have to text you in order to have a conversation. Allow it to be a flow. Make it like water. So I start initially with texting you, and that's where we are. And then allow that to flow until it gets to a point where we're talking. But be patient. Be patient with me.
Be very patient.
Yeah.
So the second one comes from Emily, hope I said your name right, from Instagram, and she asked, how can teens and college students support their peers who may have lost family members to COVID?
A lot of our kids are doing TikToks about different things. They're calling each other. They're doing memorials, drawing with each other, and posting it on pages or sending it to each other. They're talking about it. It's a lot of different things that they're doing. We are in a time right now where death seems like it's happening all the time. And so it feels like these kids are learning different things just in 2020 to do, even if it's writing on shoes. I've seen kids writing on shoes, writing the name of the loved one on the shoes, saying they're always with me. Making bracelets with the names on them. There's a lot of RIP bracelets out. There's at home making even t-shirts.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different things that a lot of the kids are doing now just to say, hey, I know what happened in your family. We're all going through different things. Let's talk about it, and I'm here to support you.
Yeah. We're in a world right now where, and I like to focus a lot on the positives, and there are some true positives that are coming out of what we're in right now. A lot of us are very go in our day-to-day life, and this has allowed us an opportunity to stop, which also makes people show up for each other more. So in instances where people are passing away, wherein, normal day-to-day life, especially if you don't live in the same city as the person, I have so much going on, I'm sorry, I wasn't able to make it for the service and all this stuff. But right now, you're still in your same city, So it's like, okay, we're all stuck here. We can get online. Let's have a Zoom celebration of life, I'm so sorry to hear that your grandmother, grandfather, mother, father passed away. We're all going to be here for you. All 19 of us are getting on Zoom, and we're going to have a celebration of life for you right here, right now, So I think that that's an awesome opportunity to be able to show up for people, and there doesn't have to be any excuses now. Right now, we can all show up for you.
And it can stay positive.
Absolutely.
Everyone on the video is staying so positive. I think that's the biggest thing right now, especially with the kids. Is even though they're going through so many things, especially like the graduates that are not getting to walk across the stage like they thought they would, they're still positive about these situations. People are passing away, but it's like everybody is still remaining so positive about everything. So I think that's great. Just to support you, everybody's thinking outside of the box to be supportive.
So as we stay on the engagement piece, what does that look like for you as far as when it comes, like what advice could you give as far as parents who want to interact with their child? So we talked earlier about what young adults can do on their own or with their friends, but what about for a family?
So one thing that I think that is very important for families is explaining what expectations are. Mm-hmm. The kids know now what the expectation was when everything was normal.
Right.
This is now COVID-19 normal.
Yeah.
What does this look like? Let's talk about our day. Mm-hmm. Mom, dad, caregiver might still have to get up and go to work.
Yeah.
I may be at the dining room table, or I may be in my office doing work, but I'm still at work. So let's talk about what that looks like. Mm-hmm. I'm at work, what are you doing? Yeah. Are you in school? Are you on your tablet? Do you have Zooms to do? Right. Do you have worksheets? Let's talk about what our day looks like. From day to day, let's start trying to plan it out and talk about the activities we have. Mm-hmm. Mom has a 12 o'clock break. Or dad has a 1 o'clock break. Yeah. When we have breaks, what are we going to do during that time? Are there moments where you're going to need help with homework? Yeah. Do we know? Let's go ahead and write this. Let's write this out. Let's have this routine together. Mm-hmm. Also, when you are getting agitated, when you are at your breaking point, how will we know it as a family? Yeah. Let's talk about that. Is there a safe word that we can use? Can it be when I hear bananas? Right. I already know you're at your point, and it's time for us to either let you take a walk outside, or let you get on your tablet, or schoolwork might have to go to the side for a moment. Yeah. You may need that 20 to 30 minute break. So let's keep with rituals and routines. Yeah. And I think that's important because kids need their routine, first of all.
Absolutely.
They love structure.
Yes.
So let's keep things in a routine and structure. Let's go ahead and write things down. Let's talk about what our day looks like. And if you don't want to say mom, I'm to my point, or if you don't want to say dad or auntie, if you don't want to say I'm to my point, what's a word? What's a safe word? Or is there something you can show me on your phone that lets me know, oh, we're at that moment and we need to take a break? And do we need to take fake breaks as family? When it's time, when you take this break, do we need to sit down together? Are you okay with taking it by yourself? Do we need to talk? Is there something you want to do during these breaks?
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and start looking at what this looks like as a family, the routine, sitting down together, keeping things together, and trying to keep it as normal as possible. So I think it's going to look different for everybody, but you might want to go ahead and keep a routine going in some kind of way.
I think that sitting down piece is so important because the world that we live in right now, it doesn't matter if a two-parent home, single-parent home, siblings who are raising other siblings, like we're so on the go, and there's constantly so many families. I'm sure those of you who are watching us right now, no matter the social media platform, we can relate that there are often times where the world, we're just constantly going and we don't really have time to sit down with one another. And that goes even beyond kids, partners. We don't always have the opportunity to sit down. Here's that time, And I keep focusing on the positives of this situation. See this as a positive. We're stuck right now, but wow, it offers us an opportunity to really get to know each other just a little bit better, So I understand that I'm your parent. You may feel like you're bored by my life, but let's have some conversation.
Right, let's
talk. How about that? We can have some real conversation now, And so we have more questions. You guys are staying engaged and we love it.
Yes.
So another question from Instagram, it says, are there tools parents should be offering to college students who will return to campus this fall?
Ooh, that's one that I have not thought about.
Right?
Oh, that's a good one because I don't have, I'm not, well, actually we are dealing with college kids.
Right.
So, I have not looked up any college tools to give the kids. However, I am positive there are some out there. My favorite thing to do is Google. My favorite thing to do is look on Pinterest. There are a million things out there for all type of kids. And I think we're going back to just communicating.
Yeah.
Making sure they're ready. How are you feeling about going back to school? Go ahead and let's start getting, even if we don't know right now if you're going back to school or not.
Right.
Let's just assume you're going back.
Yeah.
And let's go ahead and start getting things together. Let's act as if you are going back.
Right.
So what does that look like?
Right.
Let's go ahead and start. Your dorm room, what do you want? What is that theme this year? Or what do you want in your dorm room? What are the hygiene products you need this year? What are the school things? Do you need a scientific calculator? What are our books this year? What are the cost of things this year? Let's go ahead and start making those lists out of these things that you will need. And then we're going to take it a step further. If we are not going back and we are doing virtual, do you need a new computer? Do you need a new phone? Do you need a new this? Do you need a new that? Do you need to go ahead and look on your on the college campus board to see about different classes now, what you need to be signed up for, academic supports that will be needed? What is it that you'll need?
Yeah. Also, what does it look like if we are going to be focusing on you being home and you doing it virtually? What does it look like for us to keep you engaged? Because you can easily lose interest at home. I don't feel like waking up. I'm not leaving the house anyway, So let's talk about this new routine and how we can keep you invested in getting your education too, So we have some more questions out there.
Yeah, so this is another one, and it says, I'm starting to notice my teen being quieter and feeling down from what I can tell. How do I know if it's time for him to talk to someone about what he's going through during this time? Or should I try to handle it at home?
I think there could be levels.
It could.
So I think you could start off with you as a parent, caregiver, having that conversation, reaching out to them in different ways, because this goes back to texting as well. So if they're not willing to engage verbally, you can find other ways to engage with them. You definitely have to make sure that you stay open. I can't stress that enough. If you really want to engage with a young adult, make sure to go where it is that they need for you to go. So don't say, they're not going to text. They're not going to talk on the phone. However, you know that you can find them constantly on their PlayStation and their Xbox. All right, well, what do I need to do? Let me find out how I can make my screen name so I can go on there and start playing. Be imaginative. Use your imagination with this stuff. And then when you feel like you've exhausted the options, then that's when we can start to look elsewhere,
And use your resources.
Absolutely.
Do your kids have a best friend? Do your kids have a favorite auntie or uncle or neighbor?
Yeah.
And that person can assist you with asking questions to find out what's going on with your child. Because sometimes your children will not open up to you and talk to you like they would someone else.
Yeah.
So use your resources. Find out if there's a family member or a best friend or someone who can ask those questions to find out, are you feeling down? How have you been feeling? Are you less interested in things? How has COVID-19 affected you mentally?
Yeah.
Ask some of those questions.
I actually have a young adult like that. A young adult on my caseload where I introduced him to a mentor. They get along famously. And my young adult looks at me like a parental figure. So there are certain conversations that they're not willing to have with me. However, they will completely talk to their mentor about it. And their mentor comes back like, hey, this is what we talked about, right, exactly. So I then find, imaginative ways to be able to slide it in without letting them know that the mentor told me. But I completely agree with that, completely.
And we have another question.
So this is our final question before we wrap up for the afternoon. Can you both share a small story about what you've seen the youth and young adults in your programs face during this time? Traci, we'll start with you.
Ooh, they are facing a lot of just rebelliousness. They don't want to go through this.
Mm-hmm.
They want to go to school. They want to be able to go socialize. They want to go to the malls. They want to go to the stores. So I see a lot of our kids just becoming rebellious and defiant.
Yeah.
How we're dealing with it is we're talking about it. We know we were once kids too.
Right.
And we're adults that are going through this. So as an adult, I so understand exactly what you're saying. I want to go to the mall as well, and I cannot. So it's about talking about it, getting it out, and explaining to them. You're going back and explaining again coronavirus.
Yeah.
What this is, what this means, talking about it, and then being very, very, very creative with what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
This is the time to go to the store, to go out and buy those supplies that you probably wouldn't usually in the art area of the store.
Right.
Art supplies, getting those things, making that one trip to the store, getting those things, being creative, the glitters, the glues, the art painting supplies, those things, you're getting those things together so you can stay at home and still be entertained.
Yeah.
You can still find activities to do while in the home.
Mm-hmm.
Doing things such as picnics and yard work. You're finding things to do and keeping them engaged, keeping activities going.
Yeah. For a lot of our young adults, it has been kind of like a restart. Because with many of them, they admittedly had to work themselves up to a point where they were interested in school, or if they're interested in work, So it was a journey to get them to finally reach the point where they're like, you know what? I like getting up in the morning and going to work. And then COVID happened. And then once COVID happened, it's like, I feel myself returning to that who I used to be, So the journey of understanding I'm just furloughed. I will eventually be going to work.
Yeah.
I was laid off, but I can find more employment. That's the thing, I'm in school, but I'm having to do it virtually. So to our earlier part about making sure I actually want to get up because I don't have to leave the house now. So the get up and go that I had, I don't have anymore. And so that's been the main thing that we've been working on with our youth on campus is just keeping them excited.
Yeah.
Keeping them understanding that even though this may be the new normal, that doesn't have to make so many changes in life as far as your passions and what it is that you want.
And I think the number one thing right now too is acknowledging.
Yeah.
Acknowledge the fact that this is happening.
Right.
Don't just try to sweep it under the rug. Acknowledge that this is happening. This is the time. Everybody's going through it.
Yes.
How do we stay positive?
Yes.
How do you stay positive? How do I stay positive? How do we as a family stay positive?
Yep.
Well, wow, what an important conversation and such a passionate one. You can tell and see Traci and Spencer's passion through their work of working with youth and young adults. And that's what we do at Chris 180. We meet people where they are. Thank you for being here for week 11 of our Lunchtime Live series. We'll be back next week with a powerful conversation on addiction that you don't want to miss. We will be right back here at 12:30 next Thursday. We look forward to seeing you. And remember, Chris 180 has a host of resources online for you during this time. From our blog featuring tips from our mental health experts to our online support groups for parents and caregivers, teenagers, and even college students right now. We are supporting our community the best way we know how. Go to chris180.org today to learn about any of those resources and how you can help us give back to the community with a generous donation. Thank you so much for joining us. Stay safe and healthy.